Hey, hello all. This is Pradeep Talloju from Provest Software, and today we'll talk about Azure API Management. So when you log in to Azure's API Management landing page, you'll see several options out there to build those, what I call is a fundamental building block, which is an API proxy. You can configure for an existing HTTP service, a REST service over HTTP, and you also have this option of, uh, you know, configuring for a WebSocket API or a GraphQL endpoint as well. You can also have this option of creating it from the Open API specification, just basically getting that definition and then using that to create your configuration on the gateway. So it supports the Open API specification. It also supports the WADL, which is the XML representation of API specification, and it also supports your SOAP APIs. If you are familiar with WSDLs, it supports that as well to provide as a gateway for the services that are needed for your consumers. Another way to create an API is through functions that are deployed as part of your Azure resources. Any task or function that is deployed as part of your logic app or app service or a function app or a container app can be exposed as an API through Azure API Management Gateway. You will see what a product is and what a subscription is. So Azure has this concept of building a product, which can be a combination of multiple services. So once you have your APIs defined and once you have all your things in place, you can logically group them as products and have subscriptions for the specific product. So each product may contain multiple APIs, and if you want to productize your APIs in such a way that you want to sell, or you want to basically have the consumers pick a certain set of APIs, then you can group them together as products and then have subscriptions and all the policies separately for them in that group. So it's a nice way of productizing it. We will quickly take a look at the UI you have and how you would do it. Apart from that, we'll also take a look at the developer portal. We'll see how once our APIs are built, how we push them onto the developer portal, and it can be cataloged there and also be subscribed. We'll take a look at the monitoring as well to end. We'll take a look at what are the various kinds of dashboards that you'll be able to see and the kind of options you have for alerting and also getting application insights. So let's take a look at what we're going to do today as part of our demo. You will see that as part of Azure API Management, there are three logical divisions. One is the API management itself, where you would be able to create your APIs as discussed in the previous slide. You'd be able to use your open specification or the WSDL or the WADL, and you could create your API, or you could use your endpoint URL and then provide the rest of the configuration items so that your API is exposed. Or you could also use one of the functions from your Azure resources and then expose that task as an API on your API management gateway. So yeah, so the crux of all your configuration part is in the API management, and then there is a gateway, obviously, which is really the gateway, no other way to put it, wherein your consumers can come in and then access the various products, or rather the APIs that you have exposed for them. So what we'll do first of all is use this API management capabilities and try to do a proxy of one of our backend APIs. And after that, we are going to also use one of the functions that is deployed as part of an Azure resource on a function app, which is serverless, and expose that function as an API on through the gateway. So we'll take a look at the developer portal as well. So once you have your API is ready, you can push it onto the catalog service, which is exposed through a developer portal. This is the location where developer community, basically within your enterprise or outside of your enterprise, based on who your audience is, they can come in here, take a look at the various APIs that are available for them to access, use, and then appropriately subscribe to it and then start using it. That is where the developer portal comes in, and then you will see that in general the user community would enter or access the APIs that are exposed on the gateway for the actual consumption, the end users. So these are the various components that make up our network topology. So now that we know where all of these are placed, we will go ahead and start our demo. In order for you to get started on the Azure API management tool, you would need an Azure account. And in case you don't have one already, you could go to azure.microsoft.com and register for a free account. It will start off for you with some popular services that are free for 12 months and then some more for free all the time. And also gets you started with a $200 Azure credit. So you can click on get started for free, and then you can fill in the registration form. So after the initial setup is done, close to 5 to 10 minutes, under 5 minutes, I believe, then it will take you to its landing page, which we are going to see right now. So this is the landing page on your Microsoft Azure portal. You would reach out to this location by going to portal.azure.com, and you have a host of services there that are provided, offerings that are provided by Azure, and the one that you are interested in, we are interested in right now, is the API management. So I would click on API and I would go to API management services, which is what we are trying to do. So I've already created one here, but just to get you started on a new one, you can just click on this create and provide a few informations. There's a resource group that need to be filled. Like if you're familiar with Azure, you already have certain resources, then you can add it to this, that resource group, or you could create a new one. You could select your region. You can name your resource and put in your organization administrator emails. For what we are doing right now, we are good with this pricing tier. You could then go ahead and do some monitoring setup if you wanted. And then you can review and create your API portal, API management service. So once you are done with this part, you would end up with a landing page like this. Now that we have our API management services portal ready and configured, we can click into it and go into the landing page. You can go around this landing page and take a look at various things that are highlighted here. Just play around with it, go into those details and see what each of them actually mean. The first thing that we are going to do is go on to create an API. As you can see, you could define a new API either through a HTTP URL that you have ready, and you can manually define it with the rest of the parameters like the custom URI that you want to use, etc. You can also create a WebSocket API or a GraphQL API on the gateway if you have the backend endpoints ready for you. As you can also see here, both of these are in the preview phase at this time, but you can still go ahead and try it out. The other way to create a API on the gateway is through the open definitions, open APIs definitions, or the WSDL. This is one of those that supports the SOAP API as well. You could upload a WSDL and create this redirection or an API on the gateway, so it transfers the control over to the backend SOAP service and takes the response back and submits it back to the customer. So also supports WADL, which is an XML representation of RESTful API, and we'll also see that it can create an API out of workflows or services that are deployed in any of these Azure resources. For our purposes, we are going to try it out with a function app that I had deployed and is ready for invocation. We'll use a backend API that is deployed onto an AWS instance for our API proxy that we are going to create on Azure API Management Services. So I'm going to click send on this and see if it is working, and our response is back. It is going to respond back with the student information when I do a get HTTP get operation on my URI. So I have this info. I also have the Swagger API for the same. I can just click here and check, but I think this is better visualized on a browser. So let me go ahead and use the same URL and run it on a browser. So here is the same info on a browser, and you could see that there is student info service that is deployed on an endpoint, and I have my. Let me quickly do a check here and see it is working fine. I'm going to run execute and I get a response back. So this is good. I'll go ahead and use the Swagger JSON here. That's the endpoint for my open API specification that I'm going to copy for now and then use it when I'm going to create a configure on the API gateway. Back on the Azure API gateway, I have this option of creating from definition. So I do have my Swagger URL like we have just seen. So I'm going to click on Open API and I'm going to provide the URL for the JSON. I'm going to keep these the default, the ones that I have auto-filled here with student info and student info. And this is the base URL. I'm not going to change any of these. I'll use as it is. And then I'm going to click on create. So as soon as it creates, it gives me this UI wherein it shows me the design, what is expected, what are the available operations. And when I click on these operations, it also gives me an option to test it out and run it and see what is what the response is like. So I'm going to click on test here and I am going to do a send. I got a 200 okay, and let me go down and I see that the response is as expected. I get a list of students. In this case, this is just one object of student, and I have that info back. Good. So I can go back here and now all the design that I want to do on my API gateway, I can do here. For example, I can create a policy. I can say that I only want to allow, uh, only 2 hits per minute, maybe. Let's try that out. So I'm going to click on limit call rate. I'm going to click on this and I will say I will only allow 2 calls for a period of 60 seconds, and it is for those who have subscribed to my API. There are others as well that you can count on. You can say 2 hits per a minute or per 60 seconds for requests that are coming through a certain IP address. For now, I'll just keep it as API subscription. And then increment condition is, I could do it for any request, whether it is a failure or success. I still want to limit it to 2, or I could say only for successful, I will just limit it to 2. Right now, I'll just make it any request, not going to change anything there, and I'm going to save it. Let's go ahead and try it out. Now that the policy is ready and we have actually layered this backend API with our own policy, I'm going to quickly go ahead and run it twice within 60 seconds and see what's going to happen. So let me do that test right now. I'm going to select the operation that I've just invoked, click on send, and I get a 200 okay, which is good. which is expected. Let me try send again. And then I got the next operation. So if I hit send again, I should get an error or an error code that says there are, this violates a policy and there may be too many requests than those allowed. So let me click a third time and there you go. Now you see that there is 429 too many requests. Basically it says that, there is a policy violation and that is why I'm not going to send your request out to the backend at all. So you're basically shielding your backend APIs with certain policies on the front. One of the next things that we're going to do as part of this demo is also configure a function app, a function that's deployed on a function app to expose as an API. So before we can go ahead and create an API out of a function app, the function app itself has to be existing in your Azure environment. So creation of a function app is outside the scope of this discussion, but very high level, you would have to create an app with certain basic information. You would have to choose a certain set of items on your function app, and then it will take you through certain hops. It will get you the code. If you have chosen, you can choose whether you want to do it in Java or Python or Node.js. You can select from a certain set of technologies, and once you've selected, in my case, I've selected Java, and I've downloaded the sample that is provided through its download. So once I have this information, I would make the changes that I want, and I would go ahead and deploy it through my IDE, which is my development environment, onto Azure. So I have a plugin here that connects to Azure, and then I deploy this function onto my Azure environment as a function app. And the moment it goes in and gets deployed successfully as a function app, I am able to invoke it and see that it is going to respond to, the request that I provide. So as part of its deployment, it will also provide a URL from where I can access it. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this response would be like, so we can get an idea of what we are looking at. So this is my URL that was provided after my app was deployed, or rather my function was deployed onto a function app on Azure. I'm going to give a query parameter of get here, and it uses that information and concatenates it as part of the string. I can say a lot of things. I can say hello progress, and it gets me hello progress. So that's what we have on the backend side. Now that this is available as part of the functions, one of the functions on the function app, let's go ahead and try to configure that as part of our API gateway. I'm back onto my Azure portal on for API management, and then I go into my APIs as before, and this time I choose create from an Azure resource. I know that it is a function app that we just talked about, and I would be able to actually browse it because it is a function app that is already available. So let me go ahead and click on select one of the function apps and select the one that I have ready here. Now that I have this, so it instantly recognized that this function has a get and post method, and it is going to select this for me, and I'm going to select this to expose. So I'm going to keep the same parameters. I'm going to say this is the function app anyway that I've selected, and the display name will be hello progress fx, and the same for the name. And I'm going to use the same URL suffix as well. And this is my base URL. So my absolute URL is going to be the base URL followed by a slash and the suffix URL suffix. So I'm going to create it, and then we'll go ahead and try to invoke it and check. All right, so like before, it has taken me into this UI where I can actually run it and test it out. So Like I said, this is a testing ground. You can have more rules in here. You can have your front end rules. You can have your, policies. You can do any transformations if you wanted on this. It basically shows you the flow of how your request and response are going to traverse through this operation. So I'm going to go back to the test mode here. And as I said, it's going to be either a get or a post. Let me try get. And then let's say I send this out. So now you see this is the URL that you actually have on your gateway. This is not the same as the one that we ran on our backend on the function URL. So you can see that there is a difference between the base URL that you have here versus what we have here. This is a different base URL. It has APIM as part of it. So I'm going to do a run on this and see what I get back. I know that this is a bad request because it is expecting a query parameter with a name. So I'm going to quickly add a name and say, and I'm going to use this as a parameter and send it now. I get a 200 OK now, and I see hello world, which is what was expected. Awesome. So we've done two things now. We have actually exposed a backend API using an open API specification. We have also exposed one from an Azure resource. So now that we have our APIs ready, there are a few things that we can quickly go over, like products, for example. So under the same heading of APIs, you will see that there is products that you could create. Products is basically a package of the APIs. You can combine, mix and match, and prepare multiple products that you want to add. And each product can have multiple APIs. Another thing is each API can be part of multiple products as well. So if you want to productize a certain set of APIs, you can combine them and you can actually add them as part of your offerings. So I just double clicked into it and you can see that I've already added two of the APIs that we had created. One is from the function app and other is from the backend URL. Now these products can be published onto your developer portal and you can have your customers subscribe from over there. You can see that the state is published. You also have these manual subscriptions that you can create. You can go ahead and create keys for products at a product level or at an API level and provide these keys to your specific groups manually as well. You will also see that subscription requests are added here once someone comes into your developer portal and asks for subscribing to a certain product or an API individually. So this is a dashboard where you can look at if there are any pending approvals, you want to go ahead and do it. This is a good place to go ahead and finish that job. The next thing on the list here on the sidebar is the developer portal. As you can see, you have this developer portal and you also have a deprecated developer portal that gives you a view into what is available as part of the default offering from Azure. When you click on this developer portal, it will take you to a design window basically of the look and feel that you can change for your developer portal. So right now it has all of these various items. You can change your buttons, you can change your background, you can change your verbiage. You can just click on edit any of these widgets and make changes and customize your developer portal. You can rebrand it based on your company. You can make changes to all the various items that you see on this homepage. So we'll keep it as is now and then publish it and then go ahead and log into log in with one of our users as administrator and take a look at how developer portal looks like. Back on my developer portal overview, I'm going to click on this publish with the defaults that I have, and I would say yes. So after the changes are published, I can go in here. Right now I'm logged in as admin. What I can go in here and browse all the various APIs that I have as part of my developer portal. I can even check the products. Uh, we have seen these products as part of our dashboard on the APIM portal. So we see the same things here, and I can go in here and subscribe to any of these. I can click on this, for example, and I can take a look at what it contains. I know that there is, you know, these two APIs that are already available as part of the package. I can click on each of these and actually try to see if the input and output that is required, how the interface is. I can, go ahead and try it out as well and understand how this API works. So I know that this is bad because we haven't given a name. So I'm going to add a parameter again that says name, and then I would, let's say world, and then I'm going to click on send, and now I get a response back that says hello world. Good. So this is basically a playground for the developer community. They can come in here, take a look at all the apps that APIs rather that they can make use of, and if they are interested, they could go ahead and subscribe to it. I will stop here regarding the products, and let's go back to our portal and see what's left. There is a lot of other things I would let you go ahead and explore in detail. One thing I want to talk about definitely is the analytics part, the monitoring part. I can click on this analytics and I can take a look at, how the traffic has been on various operations so far. So I can, on the time range, I will select one of these on the top and, basically look at the various analytics that it provides. I can see the requests, I can see the data transfer that's involved with it, the response times. Here you can click on this geography and see where your requests are coming from. You can look at the various APIs, the three APIs that we have seen, and how many of these API hits were successful, ones that are unauthorized, one that failed, etc. So you have a lot of data in here that you can bring insights out of, and various operations within each APIs. And you want something at a product level that you created, you have that info here. You also have subscriptions, so built-in access that is used for our testing. And then you also have your user information and requests. So there is a lot of detail in here that you can leverage for your products. You can create alerts. Will not go into these details at this time. I will let you explore this. It's a lot of interesting things. Go ahead and try it out. Unless you really try it out, you will not get a hang of it. And it's an added advantage if you already are an Azure shop. If you have a lot of functions, a lot of tasks, a lot of resources that are on Azure, then you can expose them as APIs through this API gateway with ease. So that's all I have for today. That's a wrap, and I hope you had fun going through this session, and I hope you got excited as well for trying it on your own. So until next time, bye.